Coming up next on this episode of the Social Hour, Amber and I are joined by Christian Wiklund. He's the founder and CEO of the Skout app. Plus, the company just launched a brand new app that he's going to talk about as well. That's coming up and a lot more next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is the Social Hour with Sarah Lane and Amber MacArthur, episode 167, recorded Thursday, June 19th, 2014. This episode of the Social Hour is brought to you by 99 Designs, the world's largest graphic design marketplace. 99 Designs connects businesses seeking quality, affordable designs with a community of more than 300,000 graphic designers. Visit 99designs.com/social hour and receive a free Power Pack upgrade valued at $99. And by Offset.com, a new brand from Shutterstock. Offset provides a collection of high-end, royalty-free photography and illustration from award-winning talent. To receive a buy one, get one free image on new accounts, go to offset.com/welcome/social hour. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Social Hour from Twit headquarters in Petaluma, California. I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm Amber MacArthur. I'm in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, as usual. And it's good to see you, Sarah.
It's good to see you too, Amber. Now, am I just going crazy, or have you added some background framed images since the last time we talked?
Maybe. I didn't add any images, but maybe it's the lighting in the background. For our audio listeners, I have another light lighting up the background. So I think when we pre-recorded a show this morning, perhaps I didn't have that light up and you didn't notice it as much. So that could be part of it.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm just impressed by what looks like a bunch of awards you've won or something.
Oh, it's not. It's just degrees. I paid for them, Sarah.
Oh. Well, still. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
I'm impressed with your home studio. All right, Amber. Well, this is actually kind of fun because of course, this is a social hour, so we've got an hour of social stuff to talk about. But you happen to track down a very interesting gentleman who's running a company that they do an app, and they actually have a new app coming out too. Who are we talking to today?
Yeah, so we have the founder of Skout, who is going to talk about Skout as well as the new app that they have. They do a bunch of different things, it seems, and Christian's on the line right now. So thanks for joining us, Christian.
Thank you.
Christian Wiklund would be the proper way to say your last name, but I think people probably call you Wiklund all the time.
Yeah, they do. Or W.
So, well, thanks so much for being here, and tell us a little bit about, before we get into what you're doing that's brand new. Skout, the app, which is S-K-O-U-T, rather than the Scout with a C, it's kind of a meetup app. Now, is it like a dating thing? Is it a friend thing? How would you categorize what Skout does?
Right, so Skout is what we call today the largest network for meeting new people. And why do you want to meet new people? Well, it can be for just random chats that you're bored. It can be that you move to a new city and you have an actual need of meeting new people, or it can be for flirting and dating as well. So we don't want to label it as dating or something in that genre, but of course there's dating going on the network. So look at Skout more as a very big social venue where you can meet others. And a lot of our engagement happens on a local basis, but a lot of it is also globally. So, it's pretty common that you will have people in Japan chatting with people in New York or San Francisco or, what have you. So it's virtual connections, new connections, that some of them also translates into real world connections offline. And, it's the party that never ends, basically.
But it is for discovering new people and not for connecting with people you know. That's correct, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So you can almost look at it as Facebook, but the fundamental building block of Facebook is people you already knew, and with Skout is people you don't know. And, we have a lot of similarities with news feeds, and, we have an emphasis on sharing content, photos, and status updates, and so forth. And, what you can see there is a very cool feature as well, the green airplane. You can virtually travel to different areas in the world. So if let's say you're going to go to Tokyo next next week, you can actually pre-scout it today, so you can virtually travel there and start connecting with locals even though you're not physically there. So that's a very popular feature we have.
Now, see, that would be fun for me because I'm going to be in a couple of new cities, going on vacation in just a couple of weeks. And, you know, it would be fun to be like, well, I already know that this... I actually, when I signed up for Skout, it said, are you interested in men or women? And I said, both. It's just a friend thing, right? Seems like all of my results are men, but that's fine too. But it would be nice to kind of have like, I don't know, a couple like coffee hangouts set up already for when I roll into town.
Absolutely. And so, you know, when we started building Skout, we wanted to connect people who don't know each other. And that was the first part of the vision. The other part of the vision is, can we help them do fun stuff? So we acquired a company a few months ago here called Nixter, that's a company that provides bars with a SaaS solution where they can check patrons in and they can publish their events and so forth. And we're now marrying these two companies so we can provide people you should meet up with and also fun stuff to do, which the first part of that is, you know, nightclubs and bars. So if you want to go to Hong Kong and you don't know anyone there, we want to help you connect with locals and also find some cool bars and clubs to hang out at. So that's sort of the next part of our vision. So Skout is really meeting people and do fun things. And we're now working on the do fun things part of the vision. And now using Shake. So this is a cool feature you're trying right now. It's called Shake to Chat. So when you shake the phone, it's going to connect you to the closest shaker on Earth. So depending on where that person is, it can be, you know, within 10 miles, or it can be other side of the world. And you know, we don't reveal the profiles until 40 seconds have lapsed, so you don't know who this is.
Am I supposed to wait, or am I supposed to chat before I know who it is? This is
well, you should send a message. Like, we didn't want people to just connect with someone and then say, "Yeah, I'm not going to say anything." Like, let's start chatting immediately, and then, you know, you can take it from there. So
it's fun. It feels like a clean version of chat roulette.
It does.
Shake to Chat has that element. Yeah, it's, you know, something when you're dealing with people who don't know each other. It's, you know, and plus it's a pseudo-anonymous network, right, for privacy. We don't require you to use your real identity because of privacy issues. And but on the other flip side of that, you know, it's you need to moderate it very heavily because you don't want to become what chat roulette became, which was completely unmoderated and sort of didn't work out too well. So we have a very heavy emphasis on safety and community moderation. So that's, you know, both through tools we built, but also a 24/7 support staff that's making sure that content is great, people are great, and if we have bad actors, they get banned very quickly.
You know, Christian, it's always interesting to ask app developers and people who are running these companies, you know, what inspired you to create this service? Did you feel like you had too many virtual connections that didn't turn into real world connections? I mean, what was the catalyst to building Skout for, you know, a worldwide audience?
So for me, okay, I have to go back to my roots here. Well, I started coding when I was 8, and I was very early on. You know, I was one of the first kids in my block and in my school who had access to internet. And back in the day, we had BBSs, bulletin board systems, where you could call up other BBS. It's really like a very simple form of networking where you used your landline to call another landline. You can connect and you can chat. And the next iteration of that was IRC that I was very hooked on, which is still around. And you guys probably used it in the past as well. So I was always very fascinated.
We still do. I'm in an IRC chair right now.
And, you know, connecting on IRC and with BBSs with people I didn't know was sort of how I grew up. So as we're now having these incredible machines in our pocket that we can connect with others 24/7, that's sort of what I'm building now is on a larger scale than what I was doing when I was a kid. I actually had the BBS. So it was called the Underground Nation. And I think I was 12 and I had 40 callers every day to my BBS.
Oh,
So I've always been
awesome.
very fascinated about, like, once you connect with new people, you learn something new every time. And so for me, I think that's one of the real exciting things in life, is to, randomly or in a more structured way, connect with people through friends or wherever it might be. And you always learn something new, and that gets me very excited.
Speaking of getting excited, I have to tell you that I very rarely read press releases from technology companies, but you have to congratulate the person who you're working with, because this headline that I got in my inbox I thought was very clever. It says, Skout sets out to make Snapchat disappear. And this is based on a new app that you have that just launched called Fuse. And I would love to hear more about Fuse and how that works, and how it's different than what you have with Skout.
Right. So Fuse is a group app, and the way it works is, think about dinner conversations. You're at a dinner, and you have 5 friends at the dinner with you, and you're talking about stuff, usually one topic at a time. What you talk about, doesn't leave the table. And if someone goes out to take a smoke and is missing out on 10 minutes of the conversation, it doesn't really matter, because you're going to talk about more stuff as the dinner is progressing. So Fuses really has a similar engagement pattern, where you join and you create a group, and groups are created with friends from your contact list on your phone. So you don't have to sign up with email or Facebook or anything like that. It's all based on your phone number and the people in your address book. So it's really the closest connections, I think, that you have are people in your contact list. And then when you create a group, so let's say you add those 5 friends to your group, you can call it whatever you want, and then you can post a fuse. And what is a fuse? Well, it's a photo with a caption. And the fuse has some interesting properties, out of which one is you can set how long it's going to live after the first person has opened it. So you can pick 3, 5, or 10 minutes, and you have the option of posting anonymously to the group as well by enabling ghost mode. And once you post it and the first person opens it, the fuse will go off and the timer starts counting down. And during this period of time, everyone can comment on it. So it's a real-time chat room around that piece of content. And when the time is up, everything is deleted. So it's gone from the servers, it's gone from, unlike other services who claim that it was gone from their servers, this is actually deleted permanently forever. And so this is really for those small moments that you want to share with others and have that instant connection with them. And if you were in a meeting and you lost out, you didn't see the fuse, it doesn't matter, because that moment is already gone, and it's not going to come back, and that's fine, because more moments will be posted. So that's Fuse for you.
So I just downloaded, installed Fuse. I don't know why I always say downloaded. Installed Fuse from the App Store on my iPhone, and I just created a group called Girls. I don't know why. Fuse would like to access your contacts. Okay, I've given it my phone number. Here are people who are in my contact list. The only problem, here's the problem, and maybe Christian, you have some thoughts on this. My contact list is kind of a mess. I've got multiple entries for people. I at one point had synced my Google contacts with my iPhone, and it's actually made apps like Secret seem a little bit less useful to me as well, because I don't really know how many of these people are my friends. Yeah. So how do you tackle the idea that contact lists should be intimate, but for a lot of us, especially people who are using our smartphones for work, they're not necessarily people that we would want to be in this kind of fun, ephemeral chat with?
Yeah, I think you have a point. It's, once you, for me, the contact list I have in my phone is the most intimate. And, then you go to Facebook, there I have more connections that are not as intimate. But once you click, sync all Facebook contacts to my contact list, then you sort of diluted the value of your contact list, I think. So, you can probably look at, if you could look at who are you most engaged with on your phone, if there was a way where I could see who you're texting the most or who you're calling the most. We can't do that with iOS. So But you have a point. It gets pretty messy, and if you have a few thousand contacts in there, you'll have to search for them. So we have a search functions. You can then, if you know the name of them, you just search and add them. But you have a point. I think the contact list in the address book is one of the stronger social graphs that we have, but depends on how you use it.
So I guess it's really just a matter of keep your contact list important,
Keep it clean, yeah.
Then all these services are they work better for all of us.
Yeah.
Besides
I hear what you're saying, like with secrets. I mean, I have quite a lot of people in my contact list, and I don't really know if these are my closest friends or if they're sort of extended friends, or how does this work? So you get to see a lot of stuff that's probably not your closest friends, and that might be fine too.
Besides the fact that there's a catchy headline saying that Fuse is going to kill Snapchat or whatever it was, Amber, that you said, the idea that there are more and more apps that take advantage of the fact that these messages, have an expiration. And, you mentioned 3 minutes or 5 minutes or that sort of thing. And there's kind of this game necessity because you don't want to miss out. If you're on a group chat with a bunch of people, you want to keep using the app because once it's gone, then you'll just hear about it later and you can't really catch up. So, how much of this is just the way that we're all going to communicate with each other going forward? I mean, Facebook's trying it out. Obviously, Snapchat continues to evolve. And, there are other apps as well. Cyberdust, Mark Cuban was on our show a few weeks ago talking about the idea of having chats that just don't stay on record anywhere, and everything's heavily encrypted. Do you think this is here to stay?
Who knows? I think, I believe in it, but who really knows? I think what we're experiencing now in the marketplace is super, super fascinating. Not only we have the fastest technology adoption in recorded human history, but we also have stuff where it might not work today, but it worked great in 18 months. So the markets are changing so quickly. Would Snapchat be Snapchat if it launched 1 year later or 1 year earlier? Or, no one really knows what makes these things blow up. And a lot of people trying to analyze it, what is it? What is it that makes it happen? And I think, to be honest, you have to have the perfect timing, and timing often equals luck. And like a game of poker, right? You'll have a World Series of poker. You will not have any professionals winning that anymore because there's a lot of people that are in the game. But if you have some skills and you do planning and you execute aggressively and you're staying focused, then you have a better chance. But a big part of it is timing, which equals luck in my mind as well. So it's hard to say what will work, what will not work. I think you just have to launch, look at the adaptation of what you're launching, iterate. I'm not there's a lot of talk about just launch the minimal viable product, the simplest you can, and iterate and fail quickly. I'm sort of in between. I think you should do a serious effort to launch something that's great and, don't give up too easily. Just keep pushing it for a while. And of course, after a while, if it doesn't work, you have to say, okay, let's throw in the towel and try something new. But with Skout, we started Skout 7 years ago. And I think the reason we're still here and we have 150 people in the company, we're profitable over the past 8 months, is because we were very stubborn and we never gave up, for whatever reason. Maybe we were not employable or whatever, but, we really believe that this was going to work out and be a big thing, and that it would have a very positive impact in people's lives. And it's a lot of fun to build as well. It's direct to consumer is extremely hard, and we're managing a community of millions of people all over the world, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun compared to removing yourself, let's say you're a B2C play or you're an ad network or something like that. For me, I want to be where the action is. So, I tell my guys that, we're Navy SEALs here. We're behind enemy lines.
How many, what's the country you have the most users in? Where's your user base? Where does it skew?
So we look at cities, and the number 1 city we have is Hong Kong. Number 2 is New York. Number 3 is LA. Number 4 is Seoul in Korea. We also have a big following in Middle East, in Qatar and Saudi Arabia and some other places there, which we've never done any marketing in most international markets, and it just started growing on its own. And that was also one of the really cool things about Skout that we found early on, that what we built works across cultures and regions, that it really touches something deep in human desire to connect with others. And even without having it localized in different languages, it started growing everywhere, which is really, really cool. So.
Just one last question from me. Sarah may have another question as well. But what type of pressure does it put on you that the fact that apps do change so quickly, people are so fickle about what they'll keep on their phones and how long they'll keep some of those apps on the phone? I mean, do you sleep at night? Basically, that's what I'm asking.
Well, look, I have 3 kids, 6, 4, and a newborn, so I don't sleep. To answer that question, no, I'd say this, like, there's nothing. If you want to be an entrepreneur because you think it's glamorous, forget it. It's just a lot of hard work, and it never ends. It doesn't matter if you're 2 guys or 5 guys or 50 or 150. It doesn't matter. It's the same stress level, and it just never ends. It just never ends. But so you have to really enjoy like that type of action. And there are curveballs coming from left and right, and sometimes you have this really nice wind blowing in your sail, and so you have to really appreciate the swings that you will experience. I mean, with Skout, we probably had 5 close-to-death experiences over the year where it's, okay, guys, it's game over. And then last minute, we have something work out, and it just, we figured it out somehow.
Well, yeah, I mean, having, been running Skout since 2007, I can imagine you've seen a lot of ebbs and flows in the market, in consumer trends, what people want, features in other apps. I mean, there's, quite the learning process.
Yeah, and look, to answer your question about, how many, how fickle consumers can be, look, how many apps do we use on a daily basis? It's probably 8, right? And that includes SMS. Maybe you use the phone function, right? Mm-hmm. And email, so that's 3. Then there's Facebook, that's 4. And maybe you play 1 game, so that's 5. There's not a lot of room in people's lives. You're competing with all other apps, right? So to be one of the 8, that's the challenge. And you have to be very nimble and aggressive in your execution of not just building products, but also in marketing and retention of your users and support and all these different things. So I think it's one of the most dynamic and interesting markets you could possibly work in, I think, is to build apps for the smartphone market.
Well, Christian Wiklund, it was so fun to have you on the Social Hour, not only talking more about Skout and how it's evolved over the years, but congratulations on Fuse, which I have to create a group. There's only so much I can do at once, but I'm excited about it. Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, let me know if you have any feedback.
Oh, I'm
Great,
sure I will.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be following along and seeing how your story unfolds.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, Christian. You too. Bye. Wiklund, Christian Wiklund. Amber, that it was kind of funny when Christian said, how many apps do you use every day? And I thought, well, besides, testing out, because we both do app shows, and so, sort of that aside, but as far as my daily routine, I'm sure if there was some way to be able to log, how many times I tap on an app, it would become very obvious. But he's right. I don't think I use more than a handful. I think it's under 10. Yeah, regularly every day.
Yep. I'm probably 8. Yeah, I would say 8 or 10 on a regular basis, but definitely no more than that. And you know what? I hadn't even heard of Skout. I mean, the fact that it's been out since 2007 and it hasn't even been on my radar. But when I was just watching you go through the app, I mean, it's really slick. I mean, I could see using something like this. It seems like it's fun, and I don't know who you were talking to, but maybe that's evolved.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see what Nitish has said to me. There's a lot of Persian J just winked at me. Okay.
Hello.
Oh, Brian, any tech you can't live without. Okay, he must know a little bit about me. Yeah, it's kind of fascinating, really. By the way, Space Guy in our chat room says, these are free apps. How do you make money? How are you sustainable with no income plan? And Fuse I can't speak to because I literally just downloaded it, but there is a Skout Plus, which is, I downloaded both of them. What it'll do is remove no, thank you, will remove certain limits on profiles that you can see. I think in the free app, there's only so many people. You know, if somebody were to check out my profile, it might say, this person checked out your profile. You can upgrade to the premium version of Skout in order to see that. Yeah, they do that with, OkCupid has that sort of a model as well. It's, you know, it's free to play, but a lot of people end up wanting these premium features. So they are profitable, as Christian mentioned, without, you know, speaking specifically about numbers, and that's probably because enough people said, yeah, you know, I'll buy the $1.99 version of this app, and that's pretty common, I would say, you know, or in-app purchases, you know, if you so desire. That's in many cases that works well for apps, and really, I mean, Skout is one of the few that gives two different options. You know, most Snapchat doesn't have some, you know, Snapchat Plus, that's a different app. Maybe they will at some point, but you know, it's bold, I think, of a company to say, well, here's what we're gonna keep under lock and key unless you pay a little bit of money, and clearly it's working.
I have to say, I love the travel feature. Just clicking on the little airplane if you're going to be traveling somewhere to meet people there, it's kind of a fun idea. And I think just the design of the whole app, again, it just looks really slick. And they did a super nice job on it. And it's nice to also hear that they're profitable, because we always hear so many horror stories from app developers where they've not made any money and they're forced to shut down. But it seems like he has a really strong thing going with this particular app. So it'll be a fun one. Hopefully you'll try it out when you go on your big trip, Sarah.
I'm happy to. I love meeting new people. I mean, you know, as long as they're cool. But and I'm excited for Fuse as well. I think this, you know, this whole, and we're gonna talk about another app that's all about ephemeral messaging a little bit later in the show. See if you guys can guess which one it is. Hint, hint, it's brand new. But yeah, it's fascinating to me because half the time I go, okay, I think I understand how this works, but I'm not getting the necessity part. And then at the same time, I think, well, it's a changing behavior model that, you know, maybe it takes me a little bit longer to get my head around. I don't know. It's a constant question I have with myself. If I understand these apps well enough to know why I need them. Or, you know, there's a lot of a Me Too thing going on. There are app trends, and then all of a sudden you see 20 apps that do sort of the same thing.
Or you come back to apps. I mean, I found that with Instagram. It's kind of a weird experience. I mean, I was on Instagram really early. Then I left 6 months ago, and then I came back to Instagram, and now I use it all the time again. So it's neat to watch your own patterns or habits with some of these apps and see if, as long as they stay around long enough, you know, they could have that upswing again with the communities continuing to join and continuing to use them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Christian, what a great guest he was. And I'm so happy that he was able to join us. We do have a lot more stuff to talk about during this episode of The Social Hour. But first, I want to take a moment to thank 99 Designs for sponsoring this show. I mean, if you want, let's say you want just the best website of anyone you know. It just looks slick. It really makes an impact. It shows visitors what your brand is about, all of that stuff. It needs to not only have the right information, but be really well designed. And how many of us know how to do that? If I sat down and, you know, you told me I would make $1 million if I made the most beautiful web, I still couldn't do it. I just don't have those kinds of skills. Luckily, with 99 Designs, I can be hooked up with people who do, who can help bring my idea to life. You need a website, but you know, in this day and age, we're all using these apps. We're all on Facebook. We've got all these social networks, and it's sort of like, do you need your own space online? Well, if you think about it, you know, there's 2 billion people who are connected to the internet. So, you know, your competitors are certainly online. You've got to have that presence. And when you've got an online presence, this is not just some sort of like a Facebook page or some help Twitter profile or something like that. This is your business being open 24/7. Even if when you're asleep, you know, you can still be selling things through your website or giving people more information, having them interact with you. And that also just saves you money. So, you know, if you think about print advertising, web advertising, that's a lot more doable. You can throw up something with a little bit of help, pretty quickly that looks beautiful. You can get that website design that you need at 99 Designs. In fact, this is exactly where I would send you, where dozens of great designers compete to give you the best design. You let them know what you're looking for. You give them as much to go on as you've got. And then you see what you get back and you choose the design that you like and go with that one, and that's what you pay for. You can visit 99designs.com/social hour, and if you do, you can get a power pack of services for free, normally $99, but free for our social hour audience. Power pack gives you more designer time and attention. 99 Designs will bold and highlight and feature your designs basically front and center in their marketplace, and you'll get nearly twice as many designs back to you. We've used 99 Designs here at Twit, got a great new design for our company t-shirts. Amber, I know you got one in the mail recently.
I keep meaning to wear it on the show. I should be wearing it right now because it's so hot in my basement.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah,
it's awesome. I love it.
We've all sort of, we all got our t-shirts here around the office, and it's like we're starting to, figure out how to scatter them so we're not all wearing the same thing the same day, although that'd be fine too. I think we should just wear uniforms and make my job a lot easier when I get dressed in the morning.
It'd be easier that way.
Right, it's like private school. Sure, I'll just wear my Twit t-shirt every day. Visit 99designs.com/social hour and get that power pack of services completely free, our gift to you. Well, it's 99 Designs' gift to you, really. And thanks to 99 Designs for sponsoring this episode of the Social Hour. So, Amber, this morning, Twitter bought a company called Snappy TV that I am only loosely familiar with, but apparently they had already been working together. Snappy TV has a platform for live clipping and editing and distribution for brands and media partners that Twitter has already partnered with to share these clips. Obviously, Twitter is getting really heavy into the idea of sharing media, sharing clips of, sports games or really any show, I guess, that has a good emphasis on not just live, but stuff that goes viral. What do you, Amber, first of all, I guess, are you more familiar with Snappy TV than I am, or?
I'm not. I mean, I'm sure, like it says in this blog post, we've all watched different pieces of content that have been posted using Snappy TV. But I think this just really further aligns Twitter's relationship with television broadcasters, people who are content creators, and more we see that Twitter wants to be that platform for those people, right? They've really tied themselves closely, especially to television shows and live sports and those types of things. But I think it's an interesting platform in the sense that it does let you simply take a little clip from a TV show or a broadcast that you have and easily share it through Twitter. So I think, again, this just kind of further cements Twitter in that space where social television tends to be a really important priority for them.
Yeah, Twitter's MO seems to be, if there's a third-party tool that's popular enough, let's buy it, or let's build it internally. And it probably made a lot more sense to acquire Snappy TV than to build basically a clone of what Snappy TV does, because Snappy TV is again already established, and we're kind of looking at a walkthrough tutorial of how you would use it to post a clip, and there's a lot to it. It's probably, this is not an easy back end product to not just design, but get on board with. If you have enough newsrooms that are already using this, I would think for Twitter, it's just like, just buy it, because then you don't have to change any user behavior. It just becomes your brand.
It does. And also, I think it was Mary Meeker's internet report where we talked about that stat that says that 84% of people who are watching television, who are between the ages of, I think, 18 and 34, are doing so using some type of mobile device. They have either their smartphone or their tablet in front of them. So I think Twitter is really smart to position themselves as someone who understands that audience and someone who allows these broadcasters to communicate and makes it easy for them to transition into the fact that, hey, maybe fewer people are watching as much TV, or they're watching TV in a different way.
Yes, I think that, I don't know. I think it's great that a lot of more clips are, gosh, that was the worst sentence I've ever constructed in my mind. I think it's great that there's so much more media that's shared on Twitter. I think that the execution has a ways to go. Then again, I use a third-party Twitter client, so who knows half the time what they're not getting from the API. Use Tweetbot, of course, as I've mentioned before. But But yeah, it's hey, if there's more media to share on Twitter, I mean, that's where I'm hanging out anyway. So I think that's a good thing.
It makes sense.
Speaking of Twitter.
Yeah, we have another little story here. And I also think, Sarah, that really shows the power of video continuing to play such a big role in the social media world, right? And it's, people need to really start to understand video better and understand how to create video content better, too.
Speaking of Twitter, yesterday or the day before, the company announced that they would support animated GIFs on Twitter. Yay! Well, I don't know how much anybody cares about this, but, animated GIFs are really, Amber, like it's very much in certain circles with me. It's like a zing or a mic drop or something. If you've got the perfect animated GIF and you can send that along to somebody and everybody laughs, and they're looping little animated well you know what GIFs are, or GIFs if you prefer to say it that way. But the thing that sucks about it is like. So a friend of mine who works at Twitter, he was the first person that I noticed that had posted an animated GIF. This apparently is a picture of his coworker dancing. I don't know if you can pull that up, Anthony. Yeah, so that's his gift GIF. And I was like, oh, cool, I'll do the same thing. And I went over to my Tweetbot app, and I realized that not only can I not post those, but it actually doesn't support it. It just sort of takes me this endless loop back to originating. Here, in fact, I can show you.
Can you play? You can't play it at all, even if there's no option to do that.
Yeah, well, every day, dude, this is my friend who works at Twitter. I'll just pull it up in Tweetbot, and I'll show you what happens. Where is gift GIF? Here we go. So I say, oh, cool. Oh, cool. Oh, wait. Can I get there? So it's an endless loop, and apparently that is actually happening in Twitter's native OS X app as well. This is my Tweetbot OS X app, but it's not perfect, but it works on the web.
Oh, that's too bad that it's not working too well, but that's okay. I find GIFs, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan in the world, so I could live without not seeing that if I had to.
Yeah, they are what they are, but Twitter knows what people like, right? And a lot of these, it's not unlike a Vine, really. I mean, Vine is sort of like the next generation of an animated GIF, really, don't you think?
Yeah, I definitely think I would. Yeah, it's pretty close. And I mean, I think I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but the quality of content, I think, also lives in the same category. Like, there's not a lot of depth to it, right? It's more just fun little snippets of content, if I can call it that. Now, here's an interesting article that we have that is all about the World Cup. We know lots of people are watching the World Cup, and it turns out that lots of people are also tweeting along and talking about the teams. Some of these stats really absolutely blow me away. They're talking about some of the most tweeted games so far, and mentioning that, let's say, England and Italy's recent World Cup clash saw a total of 7.2 million tweets being sent throughout the game. And we have this great little heat map that you can check out, and we'll have a link in our show notes. But it's amazing to see the concentration of tweets during the World Cup and the conversations around it.
Yeah, especially in countries, that aren't either of the teams participating, and you're not exactly sure, at least at first glance, besides the fact that it would just be a country that really likes to watch the World Cup or soccer, what the correlation is. That's why, the Twitter's so fascinating, especially when you see stuff like this, because there is just so much data being sent. Amber, it was so funny this morning. Taylor Swift, yes, the Taylor Swift you're thinking of, the singer, who I follow on Twitter, but she doesn't tweet very often.
Okay.
Which is part of the reason I follow her. She had tweeted, I think it was this morning or it was last night, a picture of a little kitten. And she said, like, here's the name of this kitten. It was a cute, tiny little kitten. And it's like she posted it. I happened to be reading Twitter right then. And 30 seconds after the tweet went live, it had like 2,000 retweets. And it's like, well, of course. I mean, she has millions of followers, but I just thought, 2,000 people all decided, I love this so much, I have to retweet it in such a short amount of time. And it was like, it's just kind of mind-boggling, really, the scale that something like Twitter it's Twitter specifically, but really just these apps where so many people share this content and it's traveling around. Something like the World Cup makes perfect sense.
It does. I mean, in talking about just the kitten picture being retweeted 2,000 times. I mean, check out some more of these stats. Mexico versus Brazil, they talk about there being 112,000 tweets per minute when one of the team members from Mexico, I guess the goalie, actually saved a shot that was taken on him. And, they mentioned other stats like 243,000 tweets per minute. I mean, we're getting into some pretty hefty numbers. It's amazing to me that Twitter hasn't gone down during the World Cup. I don't think they have, at least.
I don't think so, no. I think most of Twitter's outages are behind them because clearly with all of the new user growth that they need and want desperately, that having a fail whale, or what is it now? It's not a fail whale anymore. It's something else. Is not a good first impression for a lot of people who are just getting on Twitter.
In the early days, we saw the fail whale constantly,
all the time, yeah. And kudos to whoever made the fail whale, so that we sort of had this cute little animal that we could laugh at rather than be angry at the company because Twitter was down. People were angry anyway, but yeah, it's a fun time of, I was going to say time of year, a fun time of every 4 years on Twitter during the World Cup, of course.
Okay, so speaking of maybe not so fun times, I'm not sure that Sarah, either one of us, will ever be able to take advantage of this Facebook feature. Hopefully you will, maybe at some point. But nonetheless, I'm not able to now because this is for people on Facebook who have an anniversary story. So if you're married with someone, or maybe you got into a relationship on a certain day and you've both shared that date, now Facebook in turn is going to basically create a little anniversary story for you featuring some of the photos around the time that you were both tagged in them, that you admitted that you got together through the Facebook platform. And it's kind of like a little virtual scrapbook that you could then share that Facebook will put together for you on your anniversary.
Well, they do this for people who get married or get engaged, right? When somebody sets their status to engaged and lets you know who they're engaged to on Facebook, yeah, you get this sort of collection of pictures, which sometimes is weird because sometimes both of those people will have been tagged in a photo, but it's not a very good photo that expresses the fact that they just got engaged. But yes, I mean, the example that we just saw from the Next Web article about this was about a couple that had just been in a relationship for a year. And so I can see how that would work for Facebook because, yeah, not everybody's getting married. And not everyone is going to change their Facebook status right away when they start, dating somebody, but maybe a year is very significant being together, whether you have, some legal binding or not. So yeah, that kind of works. I have never, ever been a fan of these sorts of statuses, whether I've been single or in a relationship, because, well, in my case, it always changes, and then it's just an awkward conversation to have.
It is. I mean, the good news... Sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
That's true.
The good news with this particular feature is that you can change the photos. So I will mention that before it goes public, you have an option to change the photos because they do pre-select the photos, so you can upload some of your own. So that's, I think, a nice option, because I think this could turn into a total disaster if you did not have that option. And again, you can decide who you're going to share it with. So I think for the right people, I mean, I'm going to a wedding this weekend, Sarah, with friends of mine, a couple who I've known for a while. And I have to say, they're the most romantic. They're the cutest couple. And for a fact on their 1-year anniversary, they would absolutely love this and share it with everyone. So it's for a certain type of people, a type of person or couple. I think this is perfect. But yeah, I don't really fall into this. I think it still says I'm single on my Facebook profile, which explains why I keep getting messages from guys who are like, hey, you want to go for a date? I haven't seen you in a while. And so it gets very weird very fast.
It does. I actually, I had sort of putting my foot in my mouth issue with a friend recently because she had started a relationship with somebody, and as far as I knew, it was going very well. They had all sorts of pictures together, and she had changed her Facebook status to in a relationship, and he was tagged in the whole thing. And for whatever reason, I don't know, I missed the part where she changed her relationship status because, you miss things. And I asked her about how things were going, and she was like, "Oh, didn't you know? I changed my status back." And I was like, "Unfortunately, no. I mean, there should be some sort of like blinking, red light, like that. That should be over with
alert.
Facebook events is like recently changed relationship statuses so that you don't, have an awkward conversation with somebody who thinks that you're taunting them."
I agree. That should be like one of the messages they send out. That should definitely be bright red, just to help us all out. So that would be a useful thing for them to do. I doubt they'll do it, though.
Yeah, probably not. Although, I don't know. You never know with Facebook. They change their minds frequently enough. We've also got a story. This is kind of a bummer for those who are musicians signed with a variety of indie labels out there. Indie labels not being the big guys like Sony Music or Universal Music or Warner Brothers Music. I think those are like the big three. YouTube wants these labels to sign terms agreements. So this is how they split ad revenue if a music video is seen on the YouTube platform. And according to the indie labels, and I think I've got this story right, Amber, they say that they're getting crappier terms than were offered to the big labels. And YouTube says, well, if you don't sign, because we need to have agreements here, we're just pulling all the stuff from YouTube and people won't come and watch your videos here anymore.
I've read this story 3 or 4 times, and I know this is definitely big news, and it's very disappointing. I mean, I just can't imagine that this is necessarily in YouTube's best interest, not from a financial standpoint, but more from a community standpoint. And it seems like they're really upsetting a community that they shouldn't be upsetting, because that's a large percentage of the people who come to YouTube on a regular basis is in this category of people who like indie music or perhaps upload indie music. And I don't know, this is a bit of a surprise, I think.
Yeah, especially since this is all apparently related to YouTube's subscription music service that's rumored to be, I don't know, coming this summer. YouTube Music Pass is what people are calling it, or at least that's the rumor that what the service is going to be called. So if they, I don't know, it doesn't quite make sense. I guess YouTube is big enough that they can kind of bully the little guys, almost in an Amazon sort of way. It's kind of like, well, this is where people are coming to look at something that's video related, and increasingly music too. I mean, when I think about, what does that artist of that song I like look like? Yeah, I look for the video on YouTube. That's usually the easiest place to just get started. And if there are fewer of those artists on YouTube, well, it doesn't help YouTube, but maybe they figure that they can strong arm the smaller labels into giving them, giving YouTube more money, in sort of a rate agreement. I don't really know. I mean, it doesn't sound good. Certainly on paper, it sounds like YouTube is just the big, mean monster.
How do they do? I mean, how do they do it? I mean, do they essentially say, if you're part of an independent record company, then we're going to pull down your video? But how do they establish that maybe your record label falls into that category? Does that mean they can stop an individual, maybe an indie artist who wants to just go on their own and upload to their own personal account? Will they pull that down? I mean, there's so many details I really don't understand around this. And it just seems like there are ways for the indie artists to get around this. And if there are not, I mean, the fact that YouTube would just go and start pulling down videos that don't really adhere to this new way that they're planning to make money is worrisome, I think, for all content creators.
I think it is too. I do. I think it's odd because YouTube is such a breeding ground for like breakout stars and people who really look at Justin Bieber. I mean, you don't have to be a believer. He's still he's a force in the music industry of some kind, right?
He's a force.
Right. And I mean, there are lots of examples like that. Maybe not on that scale, but YouTube is really the kind of place where you don't really know who's going to come out of YouTube. You've got these comedians, you've got people who are doing such successful shows. You've got Stammies, who does Minecraft videos and has like a huge following. Musicians as well. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess this seems to be a bit of a standoff, and maybe the story will change by the time YouTube's subscription service does launch. Hopefully,
I think so.
The terms will, somebody will step down and everybody will be happy, or at least go forward. But yeah, I guess that's what happens when you become a company that has grown as much as YouTube, is you start calling the shots.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. I think they're going to have to backtrack a little bit on this one. I think they're going to have to pull a Facebook on this one, if I can say that.
I think everybody understands that. Yes. All right, let's move on to a spotlight of the week, one of two. This one is Game of Thrones related, Amber, so I like it already.
Okay, so I don't watch Game of Thrones. I hate to admit it, but I have quite a few friends who absolutely love Game of Thrones. I haven't gotten into it yet, but I thought it was a fun article for a spotlight because they talk about a lot of the fan art that people are sharing on Twitter, and there is tons of it, especially after the recent finale that took place in season 4, which I believe was Sunday night.
Yep.
And if you look at some of this artwork that people have created and how much fun they've had with it, it really is almost like a meme in itself, in the sense that people are sharing so many really beautiful works of art, and some are clever, some are funny, and it's a great link from Mashable if you're a fan of the show.
Oh, these are really good. And yeah, there aren't spoilers in here. I mean, this is just kind of, I mean, unless you consider knowing that a character exists a spoiler, or maybe the two of them hung out together. But yeah, they're really good. These are really good. A lot of Hound and Arya. I guess everybody likes that storyline, or maybe they're easy to draw. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, Game of Thrones, Amber, it's funny. I either have my friends who watch it diligently, or people like you who say I just don't watch it. But it's not because you don't like it. It just hasn't happened yet.
And actually, I'm wondering if we can click through to the link because I think all of these are from Sketch Daily. Have you ever heard of Sketch Daily on Twitter, Sarah?
No, never.
I haven't. But if we click through to that Twitter account, I just noticed this because I was kind of following the link through and noticed that all of the drawings were from @sketch_dailies. And it says it's daily character inspiration posted before 11 a.m. Tag your posts with Sketch Dailies for a chance to be featured on our site. And it seems like they have a daily theme for people to draw things that are then shared. And today it's Conan O'Brien's hair, maybe.
Okay, all right, yeah. Because he's got, he's got some memorable hair. Interesting. Yeah, this is sort of fun. Okay, so this is like a crowdsourced art game, daily art game.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Wow, I'm
I've
surprised
never seen this before.
I hadn't either. How many followers does Sketch Dailies have?
They are at 22,000 followers, which is a good group.
Very.
And if you click on over to their website, it looks like they feature many of these sketches on their site, which is really just a long scrolling page of different images. But I'm always fascinated with how people are so creative and using Twitter and other tools. And this one is pretty neat. I hadn't heard of it.
I love this. I love the daily. Hey, everybody, we're going to give you a theme and you kind of run with it. Some of these characters I'm familiar with. Others are probably parts of, I don't know, animated movies I haven't seen yet or something. But no, this is great. This is so cool. I bet our friend Scott Johnson over at Frog Pants knows all about Sketch Dailies because he's sort of in the artist mode. If only I could draw, Amber, I would.
I have no skills, Sarah.
I know. I mean, these are really good. These are like really good. I can't do this. And it does seem that, not that I have read their terms, but it does seem that people are keeping things clean, It's sort of like family-friendly artwork, which is not always the case. Certainly not on Game of Thrones. All right, let's move on to, we sort of hinted that we were going to talk about another ephemeral messaging app earlier in the show. And I don't think we could get through a social hour without mentioning Facebook's Slingshot app, Amber, which went live in the App Store very briefly last week, was pulled by the company, and everybody sort of went like, well, why? It obviously is a product. The company, I don't know, wanted to wait to launch it when they were ready, or maybe get a little bit more press out of it, who knows. And, well...
I know, this is how I feel about the story. We have to mention it, but there's really not much to talk about.
Yeah, it's okay. So Slingshot, Leo and I were actually having some fun with this earlier in the week because he was like, okay, so this is actually good because I've got 6 locked, it says 6 locked somethings that let's figure out. Okay, so unlocked, locked. Okay, so I've got stuff from some of my friends, but what I have to do is send them a sling, that is the verb that they use, in order to see what they've sent me. Okay, so Brendan Mulligan, right? To unlock shots, first you have to sling something back. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and, this app it's just like, I don't even know what I'm doing really. Okay, so I look really bad. Can I go the other way? Let's go the opposite of selfie and take a photo of my
chat room.
Kombucha and chat room. That's kind of fun and artsy, and then you can see me seeing me. Ooh, yeah, all right. We'll go ahead and use that. That's great. And then I'll go ahead and say, let's use it. And now I'm gonna sling it to Brendan Mulligan, who sent me. And now I see that he says this app is dumb and posted a grumpy cat photo of himself. Great. See, you know what? That is Facebook's Slingshot in a nutshell.
It's the best.
All you gotta
we
know.
should probably not even talk anymore about it because that's sort of, I can't imagine a demo going any better than that. Okay, so we can't talk much more about it because there's not much more, but I will say I put a little side note into our show notes because I just noticed this on Mashable, and it said that Facebook launches Snapchat competitor Slingshot for real this time, but then there is also an app called Yo that has just topped Facebook Slingshot on iOS. And I keep reading about this app, Yo. I tried to avoid pointing it in the rundown, Sarah, because I was like, is this really an app where you just say yo to someone?
Yep, that's exactly what it is,
right?
Amber. Would you like to see it in action?
I would love to.
I don't think you have a choice. For example, Ryan Sarver just had a baby. Well, his wife did. I'm gonna go ahead and send him a yo. So I sent it, and you can see that he's the last person I sent a yo to because he's at the top. Sonia Yu was a little bit earlier. She yo'd me. Now here's what happens, because I can actually yo myself just to show you how it works.
Oh, good.
Yeah, this is
Thankfully.
great. I know.
I feel better now.
So if I go ahead and say yo,
You can yo yourself.
then, so I'll do it again.
I saw that. Yeah, at the top,
Yeah.
it just said yo.
Yep. So I'm just gonna go ahead and yo myself again. So if that were not from me, it would look exactly like that. You just get
And
a little
that's it.
notification from a friend that says yo. And that's it. That's all it is. There's nothing more to it.
I'm speechless.
I am speechless. Yes. I showed this off on an episode of I5 that hasn't aired yet, and I was like, I mean, what do you say? It's like apps have finally like turned the corner into weird territory, where for whatever reason this is popular, and like I don't think anyone who's in their right mind is going to argue that that app is meaningful in any way.
So
but
that's all.
for whatever
you can't
reason,
say
it's
anything
popular.
else but yo.
That's it. That's all you can do.
I'm quitting the internet.
You know what it is?
I'm done.
It's annoying, sort of like a Facebook poke, right? Somebody pokes you, and then you're sort of like, okay, you just thought about me, and you decided to do something annoying.
Except that you're on Facebook and you can do other things.
Right. Yeah. This is
That's
just
the
an
only
annoying
issue.
notification. Wow. I keep getting yos from people where I'm like, okay, they figured out my username. Okay.
Oh my
Because you can yo anybody. I mean, if someone says, oh, I know who Sarah Lane is. In fact, I'm surprised you guys aren't all blowing up my phone right now. You're just too polite. But
You're gonna regret that. You're gonna
yeah,
really
like I got a yo from somebody with the username Steve Jobs like in the middle of the night last night, and I was like, okay, this app has about 30 more seconds before it's deleted forever because.
Can you have a section of i5 where you like just delete apps because they suck so badly?
I should. Yeah.
You should totally do that.
It should be like, I don't know. I could find some sort of a category. But I mean, I think it's true. There, you know how it is. There are apps that you sort of go like, okay, this is kind of interesting, and then you just don't use it. And then there are apps where you're like, this is just bad. It's like I do not install. Do not install this app.
Goodbye on Sarah's phone, and you can just delete them.
That's
Get
right.
rid of them.
Yes.
Right. Yo.
Well, yo. Anyway, Leo Laporte, our friend, is in chat now talking about this whole thing. I'm gonna yo him. Chief Twit. That's you. That's got to be his username, right? Chief Twit.
Never downloading this app.
Yo. Well, I sent somebody. No such user. Leo, what are you doing? What are you doing on your day off? Obviously not keeping up with the kids.
He's really missing out on a very exciting app.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to go into smarter territory, or I'm just...
Yeah, we're just going to turn into mush. Quick reminder before we get to our rad or fad, a couple more things on the show. We just want to remind you that we love hearing from all of you. Of course, you can write us at thesocialhour@twit.tv. You can leave us a voicemail at 2626-SOCIAL. See what I did there? 2626-SOCIAL. You can record a video, upload it somewhere, send us the link. Of course, Amber and I are monitoring your tweets, not only while we record the show, but during the week, and try to add as much of your feedback and ideas as possible. And before we get to Rad or Fad, we also want to take a moment to thank Offset, our second sponsor of this episode of The Social Hour. Offset.com is a new brand by our friends at Shutterstock. We love Shutterstock, but Offset is cool in a different way because it's a curated collection of really high-end photos and illustrations from basically the best commercial, editorial artists, photographers in the world. Award-winning talent. These people have their photos and images published in Condé Nast Traveler and National Geographic and in large advertising campaigns on the national level. And each image, like they do at Shutterstock, is reviewed for artistic distinction and narrative quality, as they call it. Ooh, Chief Twit just yo'd me, by the way. Good work, Leo. Good work. Yeah, yeah. Many of the subjects in these photos are, they're real life moments. So, that guy on the surfboard who's about to get pummeled, that's not a stock image. Somebody went out to the beach and shot that. It's lovely. I would like to know where that is, actually. Probably Hawaii. And many of the Offset's pictures are not only sort of like, ooh, you were out and about, but they're from places in the world that many of us are just, we're not going to be. So if you wanted these photos, I mean, this is tough. This is hard. It's hard to get some of these images. They were really put together by the best people in the world. Well, the people who have the most skill for putting together images. One of Offset's award-winning photographers is Martin Bailey. Have you heard of him? He's a nature and wildlife photographer. Born and raised in England, now based in Tokyo. He's been all over the world, inspires and helps photographers from around other parts of the world to capture the wonders of the Earth, this awesome planet that we're on. I mean, look at the stuff. It's absolutely beautiful. He's fueled by passion for travel. Obviously, he's really into nature as well. And he wants to share his artistic vision. Martin is a very popular international tour and workshop leader as well. He really does help folks. He works on all 7 continents, is a pioneering podcaster and blogger. Gosh, we should get him on the show. Craft and vision author, X-Rite, Colorati, and Gura Gear Pro Team member. This guy has all the credentials. Martin Bailey, you absolutely have to check out his work. I love that little Mr. Fox, too. Anyway, so Offset provides simplified pricing and license with global usage rights. That means each image has 2 different price points. You got a $250 shot suitable for the web version. You have a $500 high resolution suitable for print version. And every image in the collection is royalty free. So those terms are simple and they're generous too. And you get rights managed quality. So these are Offset's award-winning photographers. You can check out their work. I guarantee you'll be impressed. They're beautiful. They really sort of tell a story all on their own. You can explore Offset today, and you can also sign up for a free account and find an image that tells your story, like plates breaking. I don't know what story that's going to be, but that's the beginning of a good story, or maybe the end of a good story, or a bad story. And for a buy one, get one free image on new accounts, we've got something special for you. Just go to offset.com/welcome/social hour. I'll give that URL to you one more time, offset.com/welcome/social hour to get a buy one, get one free image on new accounts. And thanks to Offset for their support of our little show. All right, Amber, it is time for Rad or Fad. What do we got?
Okay, so everybody's talking about the World Cup, and so sports are on people's minds. Thought this would be a good one. It's not a soccer ball, but it is a connected tennis racket. And I actually saw someone demo this on TV on a morning show here in Toronto this morning, and I thought this would be kind of cool to take a look at. And as I dove further in, I realized there was also a social component to this. So basically, you have this high-tech tennis racket that connects with an app that will tell you information about your swing and your endurance, your power, and all these other details that will help potentially make you a better tennis player. But along with this, within the app, you can also compare yourself to other tennis players, including some of the pros, through a social network that they've built on the back end of this.
Wow.
Wow, right?
Yeah.
If you can play tennis, it's good.
Well, I wish I could. Well, oh yes. These people are all very good at tennis. That's the thing.
Yes.
This is cool. This is great.
It's cool, yeah. And I think I know a few people who play tennis just kind of casually, and even though they play casually, they're relatively serious about tennis. If that makes sense, it's almost like the golf industry in some ways. So I think it is kind of rad, and I do think people would use this. It's just sort of it's kind of gimmicky, but the reality is that because of the technology in it, it does not add any more weight to the racket. I looked that up as well to make sure that it was still light and easy to use, and it does give them valuable information and then connects them through a network of other tennis players.
I love this. I think that this is, I mean, it's, you know, I don't know that much about like the world of playing tennis, like not on a professional level, right? So I'm not a tennis player myself, but I think that this is so cool, especially with, you know, a game like tennis where you're constantly being matched up with different people. There's a tennis club and just down the road from where I live in the city, and a lot of my friends go there, and I could see this being incorporated and really just kind of making it more fun, especially since you know, tennis it's a pretty analog sport, you know, but you can make the most of connecting your, you know, the strength of your shot and, you know, all those little data points that is kind of fun for a game that you're already playing.
Yeah, and I mean, the racket is the one thing. I mean, the racket is still useful, and I say that because much of the wearable tech or the gadgets we've talked about in the past that have to do with the sports industry, sometimes these are things that you don't necessarily want to wear, you don't want to have them on you, but because it's built in so seamlessly to the tennis racket, I mean, why not? Why wouldn't you want a high-tech tennis racket that could allow you to do the same things, but then help you to track your power and all those other details? So I think in that sense, they've done a really good job of designing the racket, and I think a lot of people will love it, and of course, there are some celebrity tennis players within the social network, and that can only help.
I would say so. I guess as long as it doesn't feel any heavier or in any way more cumbersome to use, you know, the special racket, I think it's awesome. How much are we talking here?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'll have to look that up. Hold on a sec.
Well, let's see. I'm looking at the product. We got a Pure Drive here, unique racket, integrated design. Of course, they tell you everything except how much it costs. Well, you've got you've got the app and the store.
6 hours of battery life.
6 hours of battery life.
Store locator. So I guess you can't buy it from their site.
You gotta. Of course. How much is it? That actually really helps me determine if it's rad or fat.
I'm gonna find this. That's a good point. Oh, I can't find out how much it is.
You can't?
No, because it's giving me dealers where they sell it, but then when I get to those pages, it's not telling me exactly how much it is at those stores, right?
Yeah, right.
So
You've got to go in there. Yeah, like it's at Lombardi Sporting Goods. It's a big sporting goods store in San Francisco. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go in there because I've got to buy some sports bras anyway, and I'm going to find out what the what our Babolat tennis racket costs, and then I'm going to report back.
That's a good plan because I'm trying to find it right now, but I'm going to drive myself crazy. Find the price.
Okay, so it looks like we're looking at about $400. Do people think that that's rad? $400. How much is just a regular nice tennis racket these days? Probably at least $100, right?
Yeah, I can't imagine it's much less than that.
Exactly. So, all right, $400. What do you think? I'm going to say rad.
It's rad. I think it's rad.
I think it's rad. Sure. Let's take tennis up a notch.
Yeah.
Fine with that.
If you're good at tennis, I think that this is something that you would love. Hopefully we have people who are watching or listening who do play tennis. Actually, I know Laura plays tennis because she watches the show, my almost sister-in-law. So I should ask her about this because I'm curious if she'd like this. Although I should get it for her birthday maybe in August.
Or even if you're not good at tennis. You know, I went through a phase where I wanted to be good at tennis. I had lots of phases, and I wasn't, and I lost interest, right? So, but there wasn't really much for me besides practicing. It's kind of like, you gotta stick with it. So something like this, where I could sort of see measured amounts of success. Ooh, I'm responding to a serve. What's the terminology? See, this is why I shouldn't play sports. Somebody serves and you are able to
rally,
swing back.
Volley? I don't know if that's volleyball. Sarah, so you have to stop talking.
When you answer a serve. See, this is perfect for this. Return a serve. Thank you. I knew it was something like that. Respond. It's a serve response.
Sarah, you're like a computer.
I know. Wait. It's in here somewhere.
Just respond to serve.
Packets of info. Yeah.
We should definitely wrap up.
I need to be defragged in a big way. Yes, Amber, I think that's a great idea. Let's finish up this episode of The Social Hour. We went slightly over an hour, but it is the social hour, so we try to keep it to 1 hour as much as we can. Of course, a reminder that we shoot this show live on Thursdays at 12 noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. But we love to get feedback from you wherever you're watching or listening throughout the week. Of course, you can always go to twit.tv/TSH. That is our show page where all of our archives live and our show notes. And any question you might have for us, that would be a good place to start. And also, we've had a great run of guests lately. So do check out some of the episodes that you may have missed or watch again. It was Guy Kawasaki last week. He was in a hockey locker room because you never know what you're going to get with him.
And we have Ringley next week.
And we have Ringley next week, which, yeah, we should mention. They were actually supposed to be on the show today, and we had to do a little bit of reorganization behind the scenes. But yes, this is the ring that tells you when you get a notification message, and I'm pretty excited to hear from the people behind that service and, you know, kind of their inspiration and where they think all of this wearable technology is going.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. So she's definitely going to come on next Thursday. And we have someone else that I'm going to book for, I think, the week after that we're pre-recording. So lots of guests on the go. But, of course, if people have suggestions for guests, please let us know. You can find us online or let us know on Twitter or email us. And we would love to take your suggestions because we have had a great run of guests. And I know there's lots more we can get to you.
Absolutely. All right, Amber. Well, this was fun. Thanks, everybody, for watching and listening. Until next time, I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm Amber MacArthur, and we'll see you soon.
Goodbye. Goodbye.